The salt air in San Diego always carried a faint promise of something better. Renata Richter's modest white bungalow sat 3 blocks from the Pacific, the same house she and her late husband Robert had bought in the 1980s. After Robert's death from a sudden heart attack 15 years earlier, Renata had promised herself she would live quietly, modestly, on the inheritance he left: a decent 401k, the paid-off house, and enough savings to cover her golden years without worry. She never imagined those years would become someone else's safety net. Her only daughter, Amy, was 34 now, bright, charming, and, until recently, perpetually between opportunities. Amy's husband, Travis, called himself a freelance graphic designer, though most days he seemed more committed to online gaming tournaments than client work. For the past 4 years, Renata had quietly become their emergency fund, their rent backup, their IVF financier, their everything. It started small. Mom, the car needs new tires, $420. Mom, the therapy copay came in at $280 this month. Mom, we're trying another round of IVF. It's $9,000, but the doctor says this one might work. Renata never hesitated. She loved Amy the way only a mother who raised a child alone after widowhood can love. Fiercely, without question, even when the questions should have been loud. Over 4 years, the total crept past $45,000. 2 failed IVF cycles, $18,000. Rent assistance, 3 different apartments, $9,000. Car payments and repairs, $7,000. Credit card bailouts, $6,000. Miscellaneous emergencies, new phones, gym memberships, a surprise trip to Vegas for stress relief, another $5,000 plus. Renata postponed her own knee replacement surgery. She canceled the Alaska cruise she'd dreamed of since Robert died. She ate more canned soup so Amy could eat organic. She told herself it was temporary. She told herself mothers don't keep score. Amy had talked about the wedding for months. "We're thinking courthouse," she'd said over brunch one Sunday. "Super simple, just us, the witnesses, and our closest people. No big drama. No huge guest list. You know how I hate attention." Renata had beamed. "I'll buy a new dress. Something soft blue. I always look good in blue. Just tell me the date so I can mark my calendar." Amy smiled, squeezed her hand, and changed the subject. 2 weeks later, on a quiet Wednesday afternoon, Renata called. "Amy, honey? Wedding date. I want to make sure I'm free." Travis answered. His voice was light, almost giddy. "Hey, Renata, yeah, we did it. Monday, courthouse downtown, super minimalist. Just the inner circle. We didn't want any stress, you know?" Renata felt the phone grow heavy in her hand. "You already got married?" "Yeah, quick and easy, no big deal." She hung up without another word. 10 minutes later, she opened Instagram, something she rarely did. There they were, Amy in a simple white sundress, the one Renata had bought her for $1,200 last month for something special. Travis in a linen shirt, both glowing, courthouse steps, then a catered dinner on the beach, long table, string lights, champagne flutes. Travis's parents, his sister and brother-in-law, 2 cousins, a handful of friends. Everyone smiling, everyone toasting. Not one photo included Renata. She sat in the dark living room for hours, the glow of her phone the only light. The caption read, "Married the love of my life, simple, intimate, perfect. Hashtag just us, hashtag no drama." Renata whispered to the empty room, "I guess I wasn't part of just us." The next morning, she made coffee the same way she always had, black, no sugar, in Robert's old mug. Then she drove to the bank. She canceled every automatic transfer. She froze the secondary debit card she'd given Amy for emergencies only. She changed online banking passwords. She asked the branch manager, a kind man named Javier, who had watched her make transfers for years, to flag her account for unusual access attempts. Javier looked concerned. "Everything okay, Mrs. Richter?" "For the first time in a long time," she said, "yes." 2 days later, Amy called, voice tight. "Mom, the rent's overdue. $1,200. Landlord's threatening eviction. You forgot the transfer, right? Renata answered calmly. I didn't forget, Amy. I decided I'm only helping people who consider me family. You made it clear at your wedding that I'm not in the inner circle, so I'm stepping out of the circle entirely. Silence. Then, Mom, that's not fair. You're my mother. I am aware, but being your mother doesn't mean I'm your unlimited ATM. You chose who mattered on your wedding day. Now I'm choosing who matters in my retirement. The calls escalated, texts, voicemails. Travis even showed up at the door once, banging until the neighbor threatened to call the police. Renata kept the curtains closed and the ringer off. Then Amy changed tactics. A week later, a social worker from Adult Protective Services knocked. We received a report of concern, ma'am. Your daughter says you've become isolated, paranoid, making erratic financial decisions. Renata invited the woman in, offered tea, and immediately called her attorney. By the time Mr. Alvarez arrived, the social worker had seen the clean house, the organized files, the clear-eyed woman who could recite her monthly budget from memory. Case closed. But Amy wasn't finished. 2 weeks later, Renata received certified mail from the San Diego Superior Court. Petition for conservatorship of Renata Richter. Grounds: mental incompetence due to sudden irrational changes in financial behavior, evidence of paranoia, installation of security cameras, refusal of family contact, risk of self-harm through isolation. They wanted to appoint Travis as conservator over her finances. Renata sat at her kitchen table and laughed, a short, bitter sound. Then she cried. Then she called Mr. Alvarez. He read the petition, looked up, and said simply, "This is textbook elder financial abuse, reversed. They're trying to force control because the gravy train stopped." They built the defense quickly. 4 years of bank statements showing $45,000 plus in one-way transfers. Screenshots of Amy's messages begging for money, often within hours of receiving the last gift. The wedding photos. A full neuropsychological evaluation with Dr. Larson, who concluded Ms. Richter demonstrates superior cognitive function for her age, no evidence of dementia, impairment, or poor judgment. Financial decisions appear rational and self-protective. Neighbors, the beauty salon owner Cynthia, the garden club ladies all offered to testify. The hearing was set for a Thursday in early spring. Renata wore the soft blue dress she'd bought for the wedding that never included her. She sat straight-backed beside Mr. Alvarez. Amy and Travis's attorney opened dramatically. Your Honor, Mrs. Renata Richter, age 71, has abruptly cut off all support to her only daughter and son-in-law. She has installed excessive security measures, changed locks, refused communication. This is classic signs of paranoia and cognitive decline. We seek conservatorship to protect her assets and her well-being. Amy took the stand first. She cried prettily. Mom was always so generous. She helped us through everything. IVF, rent, cars. Then suddenly she stopped. She won't talk to us. We're terrified she's going to hurt herself or lose everything to strangers taking advantage of her. Mr. Alvarez cross-examined gently. Ms. Schuster, did you invite your mother to your wedding? It was very small. You told her on the phone it was inner circle only, correct? Amy looked down. When was the last time you called your mother without asking for money? No answer. How much total did she give you in the last 4 years? A lot. Approximately $45,000. Amy nodded. Travis's testimony was shorter, angrier. She's changed. She's not herself. Mr. Alvarez asked, at 34, with a college degree, why do you still need your 71-year-old mother to pay your rent? No real answer. Then it was Renata's side. Dr. Larson testified. Flawless cognitive scores, excellent reasoning, no red flags. Cynthia from the salon? Renata's sharper now than half my 40-year-old clients. She's finally taking care of herself. Eleanor, the neighbor? I've watched her bloom these past months. She's happy. She's present. Finally, Renata herself. She walked to the stand without notes. I loved my daughter more than anything, she began. After my husband died, she was all I had. I gave her everything I could: money, time, hope. I paid for fertility treatments because I wanted to be a grandmother. I paid rent because I didn't want her homeless. But on the day she married the man she loves, she decided I wasn't important enough to witness it. She told me I wasn't inner circle. So I asked myself, if I'm not family on her happiest day, why am I family only when there's a bill? The courtroom was silent. I stopped the money because I finally understood. I was buying attention, not love, and I'm done. Amy's attorney tried to rattle her on cross. Isn't it possible these new friends are influencing you? Renata looked straight at him. My new friends don't ask me for money. They ask how I'm doing. There's a difference. Judge Ramirez took 2 hours to deliberate. When she returned, her voice was steady. After reviewing the evidence, the court finds no basis for conservatorship. Ms. Richter is fully competent. The petition appears motivated more by financial disappointment than genuine concern for her welfare. Petition denied. Renata exhaled for what felt like the first time in years. Outside the courthouse, Amy stared at her with raw fury. Travis looked away. Neither spoke. Renata didn't either. She simply walked to her car and drove home. 3 months later, she sold the bungalow. She bought a bright one-bedroom condo in La Jolla with an ocean view balcony. Half the proceeds went to nonprofits that fight elder financial abuse. The rest she used to live. She took the Alaska cruise, saw glaciers calve into the sea. She signed up for watercolor classes. She volunteered at the senior center, teaching basic financial literacy to women who, like her, had spent decades putting others first. She never heard from Amy or Travis again. Word filtered back through a distant cousin. They'd downsized to a one-bedroom. Amy got a retail job, the first steady paycheck of her adult life. Travis still freelanced, but the gaming chair was gone. On clear evenings, Renata sits on her balcony, glass of Pinot Grigio in hand, watching the sun melt into the Pacific. She thinks about the woman she used to be, afraid to say no, afraid to be alone, afraid love had to be purchased. That woman is gone. In her place is someone who finally learned the quiet truth. Real love never comes with a price tag, and freedom is always worth every penny it costs.